But sometimes it's lack of knowledge that people, they don't see the value of this instrument, that they are built to last. And we cannot compare any instrument to this. So you cannot show me any instrument that can play for more than 100 years. Overseas, you get them to 300 years old instrument and still going and still playing. All right, nice to meet you.
It's nice to meet you too, Archie. And what a beautiful organ you have there behind you.
Yes, yeah, it's a local organ that there's a big story behind that organ.
Yes,
and it's another church, but we have stored it in a local place in Johannesburg for demonstration purposes.
So Archie, you say this is like a demonstration model, so people can come. Yes. and is this now something that you built?
No. What happened, there's a story behind this. There was this church in a place called Nigel. It's like a 20 minutes drive from a town called Heidelberg. They had numerous issues with the organ, and there wasn't a permanent solution to it. That one day they decided, Genoeg is genoeg in Afrikaans, to say we are done with this, and they wanted to throw the organ out. So we told them to say, hold on, we're going to come and collect it and offer you some money for the organ. And so we brought the organ to Johannesburg so that we could develop our own permanent solution to these electric problems that the organ was giving. So that is when we started to develop our own solid state system. So on this organ, the solid state is installed, and with churches that want to come and see how it works, and also other technicians that are curious, want to come and test it, we've made it so available for people to come and experiment on it. Yeah.
But now, you say, is it electrical components?
Yes, so basically it's a real pipe organ. So there is pipes inside the behind that facade, that called facade, and it's working like a normal organ. There's nothing no different, but the action that makes this organ play is electrical. So you get about a couple of actions, like you get also a pneumatic action that uses wind pressure, and you also get the mechanical action and also electrical action. So this is electrical action. So what we have discovered, like, let's say after 40, 50 years down the line, these organs with the electrical action start to give problems, especially on the contacts. So let's say an organist comes and plays on a Sunday and selects some registration and everything. And when they start to play the instrument, sometimes they get dead notes, or sometimes the notes, they just disappeared. And they start to get those type of issues also on the registry. When we want to put a stop, let's say a flute or a stand or a trumpet, sometimes they don't engage. And that causes a lot of frustrations to the organist. And there's actually not a permanent solution to that old analog system that people will try now to do like a DIY to go and try to scratch the contacts so that the contacts can clean, because there'll be carbon residue on all the contacts. And you can do that for like a short, you can say a small DIY maintenance, but it's not giving any permanent solution. So let's say on a Tuesday, the organist might call you to say, I've got an electrical contact on a trumpet, or then you can come and do some cleaning of contacts. But maybe by the Sunday, after practice, the organist can also get the same issue. That is why this church had to decide to say, you know what, we have to throw this pipe organ because of unending issues. And by that time, our company was not having also permanent and affordable solution, apart from ordering a system from overseas that is also very expensive, and many local churches cannot afford it. So that was a good challenge that we got, and we used this organ to build our system, to test it. So it has been in a trial for the past 4 years when we developed this system locally to refrain from buying or ordering it from reputable companies that are overseas. Yeah.
Wow, that is amazing. And I mean, for me, I associate the church organ that it's not electrical, because you see the pipes and you think it's just mechanical. And but how many of these electrical organs, or since when did they start doing the electrical organs?
Actually, it started many years ago. It started many years ago. We are talking that like 100 years ago, the electrical action started to kick out the lot of pneumatics and the mechanical organs. But also today, there's still mechanical organs. The difference is that sometimes with the mechanical organ, you'll find the console where the organist sits and plays, it's attached to the instrument. So sometimes you get the problems that the organist cannot really hear what they are playing, but the audience can hear, because there will be a distance away from the pipes. But with the electrical action, you can place the console wherever you like. Depends also if the church can afford the cable, because it's also very expensive. You buy it per meter. And now with our solid state system, actually we made it so possible that you can move this console anywhere you like. So let's say you are accompanying a choir, you decide to move your console close to the choir so that the conductor, you'll be in sync together. You can do that because there's no this thick cable with million wires. We've replaced it with the Ethernet cable that is so tiny. So you just plug that out and you can move the console anywhere you like and plug it in, and you can play the repetition. It's very fast as well. It's similar, even more faster than a mechanical organ or electrical action.
How amazing. And how did you, where did you get the knowledge or the idea to do it that way?
Yes, the idea has been there in the country for quite a long time. Like I say, the overseas, we're talking about England and America. They were so much ahead of time, and they actually developed this system, and it's also available as we speak. And the only reason that you don't find a lot in Africa is because the cost of importing that is quite a lot. And so the reason that we wanted to develop our own is because of this problem that I've told you, I've mentioned it, and also that we keep on doing our normal daily routine, what we service organs, we keep on encountering these problems. But in one of the years, we hit a big problem with one of the solid state that was imported. It was actually basically not installed correctly. And it also had a lot of issues. I think it was the programming from the company that sent the system to South Africa, and a communication with the local company. They couldn't sync, and the system that came to South Africa wasn't robust. So every time there was numerous issues that the organists were so frustrated till they wanted to neglect the instrument that is like worth 30 million rands, quite a lot of money here. So we got involved to that client, and we tried also to repair it. So we found that every time when there's an issue on that system, we had to have numerous phone calls to that overseas company. So it was so much money, like the tariffs to call overseas. And most of the time, the companies are also so busy that they cannot give you all the information. So we found that it was not really reliable when we hit a problem, and the church needs to come to us because we're the service providers. But for us, we need to rely again from a second source. So we wanted to cut that completely so that we build something locally. And when it fails, we also wanted to go to any local electronic shop and buy, let's say, a chip fails and go and buy it. And we've made it so robust and also using these local parts as well, so that we don't sit around waiting for parts to be ordered from overseas, the import duty that comes with it and everything. So that anything that fails, we can repair it. And we want to guarantee our clients that in 24 hours, we give you a solution. If there's any fault, we can repair it within 24 hours than to wait for many months paying input duties. When something fails, numerous phone calls to overseas company, that's not every time they have time for us as well.
Yeah. Well, this is amazing that you that you did it that way. And also, now I want to ask you, how many of these churches do you visit? Because I mean, South Africa is also, there's so many small towns with still old organs and so on. Do you service all these organs?
Yes. We cover a large area, including also churches that are outside South Africa. Initially from Zimbabwe, so I'm still looking after the Zimbabwean organs, and we also look after Namibian organs, and we also cover a large area in South Africa. But we are quite a few technicians in South Africa, and with the amount of work that is here, it's not possible for one company or two companies to cover the demand. So we are quite a few and we're spaced around. And what is funny about the organ building, you find that there is churches that are 100 kilometers away from us, even 500 kilometers away from us. And they've got also a local organ builder that is there. But you find us who are staying so far working on those instruments. And also the person that is staying actually there is also working where we come from. So it's all the choices and where would you prefer, and the tastes, and also how we specialize, because as you see in instrument like a pipe organ, it's a really complicated instrument that not everyone can do everything on a pipe organ. Like the facade pipes that you see on the gold pipes, it's another skill that you need to develop to make them. And also the ability to make wind chests, the ability to do what is called intonation and voicing on a pipe organ, to build like what we're doing, solid state system. They are all specialized skills that one need to gather. And you'll find that we use a term organ builder. It's like an umbrella, but it's actually it's an organ builders, whereby all the skills work in relationship to each other and make a company.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So, but also I spoke to an organist, and he said that the pipes have to be cleaned so regularly. So is that also something that is this part of the service that you do? Yes.
Yeah, there are many services on a pipe organ maintenance to keep it going. Remember, these instruments, they are built to last. It's not an instrument that you can buy it tomorrow and after 20 years you have to throw it away. So you find in South Africa, we've got instruments that are more than 100 years old. If you want to compare with other electronic organs, that they cannot last for that long. And the maintenance, again, on those instruments, you find that a lot of parts get outdated quickly. So with these services, on a pipe organ, we get what is called a normal tuning or seasonal tuning that we do. So let's say it's in winter, you find most of the instruments will be sounding flat, especially the reeds, and you'll be tuning mostly in winter. And when it comes to summer, if your organ have got reeds, it also get affected. So you find that you do seasonal tunings. So that is other service that you give to an organ, whereby a technician or tuner goes and check the intervals of the instrument and check the tuning of the instrument. Not necessarily tuning the entire instrument, but tuning what is necessary. Then, because there's a lot of mechanical parts that are moving up and down, if I can say, that also need maintenance in the long run. So nothing is built to last forever, as we can speak. So it's like a motor engine. If you don't take care of it after, let's say, 20 years, you'll find with a stuck car. So you need to change oils after maybe 500 kilometers, want to do an engine overhaul. That same applies to the pipe organs. So it's not necessarily that regularly you need to clean a pipe organ. It depends with the environment. Is it dusty? Is the windows getting closed? And but you find us cleaning organs that are maybe 40 or 50 years after the installation that the dust have accumulated. But that is also intensive work that you need to remove all the pipes. The pipes need to be washed, the dust needs to be vacuumed out of the organ. And after that, you need to retune the entire instrument. So it's one of the services that we also do.
But you say that happens only in, say, 40 years or so. So it's not every year that you have to service them.
No.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. No.
But do you play organ yourself?
Yes, I'm still taking lessons, but I started playing the organ when I was at the age of 11.
Yeah.
Because I was standing at a local church in Zimbabwe, a Catholic church in Zimbabwe, where I was intrigued with this organ sound. I was so fascinated. And I became a friend with the organist at that time, who also was showing me how the organ works. And I got so much interested at that age. So I started also learning how to play the organ. And I remember when I was still at school, I was also coming on a weekend to practice some easy hymns and songs so that I can also accompany the choir. So yes, I'm playing the organ and I'm still taking my organ lessons as well.
Really? And you must have an incredible ability to hear also, because if you say you have to tune the organ, so you must have a good hearing for the different sounds. Yes,
to some extent, and also with the practice, you start to improve. So you develop the sense of hearing. So I know I loved the organ tuning part of it very, very much when I was so young, because I was there was a day, or it was Sunday after Mass, and the organist who was playing the organ told me to say, well, the organ doesn't sound so good, but luckily during this week, the pipe organ tuner is coming. So that got me very fascinated to say, who is coming? And it was a man from England called Keith Jarrett, who was going to come to tune the organ. He was based in Zimbabwe, 500 kilometers away. So what happened when I knew that he was coming on a Wednesday, I was still like in primary school. I had to pretend to my parents that I was sick, that I wouldn't want to go to school, so that I could meet that man. So I didn't go to school, and then I ran away from our place. Then I went and waited for that man at the church. So I remember vaguely that he came around 10 o'clock, 9-ish, 10 o'clock. So then I followed him inside the church. Then he also asked a secretary of the church to come and assist on the organ to hold keys. So that is the first time that I got exposed to organ tuning. But what he did or what he was doing, I couldn't even get the sense of it. So it got me fascinated to say he was inside the organ, he was doing some other stuff and saying next. And after some time he came and played the organ, and he said, oh, the organ is tuned, then he left. And then I asked the organist to say, why did you have to invite or to ask someone who's staying so far away? Then he said, no, there's no anyone who's doing it in Zimbabwe. So I started to get more fascinated, and that man obviously was becoming old, and the churches in South Africa, they decided to use the company that I then trained under to come and take over a lot of contracts in Zimbabwe for pipe organ maintenance. So then that is when I asked that company to say, what can I do to learn this trade? But then they said, yes, they were looking for new apprentices, but only serious people. So after you finish school, you can come and join the company. So I was so interested, but it was a long time to freedom to finish school and to go to South Africa to learn. And even though I had exposures with many organists in Zimbabwe, and the local priest that also passed away was also tuning organs, I could hear what they were doing, but I couldn't identify or grasp what exactly were they doing. So they also helped me to negotiate for that apprentice position in South Africa. And when I came the first year, I remember it was so much of a work to get the idea of organ tuning. But that is what I wanted mostly, and that is what I then specialized mostly. And year by year, you learn and you develop the sense and the skills. And
yes, so you have a real passion for this job. You really wanted to do it. That's amazing. Oh, that's so beautiful. Yeah, that's a beautiful story that you were so dedicated and fascinated by it.
Yeah.
But now tell me, when you say, you talk about, I'm an organ builder. Now, is it still now? Can you build an organ from scratch?
To be honest on that topic, I cannot build an organ from scratch myself. I still need more years to be in that environment to do that. And that is why you find, especially in South Africa, we get many people that specialize. You only get to the people that got that exposure from early childhood and also who took apprentice in the organ building and specialize in that. Like I explained that there's many skills to develop. I know quite a lot by now because of many years getting exposed in the instrument. So majority of the work that makes up this instrument, I was exposed and I'm still exposed with it. So I can contribute to pipe organ making with the skills that I have, but not to say necessarily personally myself, I can go and build an organ myself. Okay. I would need this pipe maker to make the pipes for me. Then there is also the woodwork that comes with it. There is also electrical work. It depends what you are building. It's mechanical. It's quite a lot of more skills that one need to get. But you do get organ builders, especially also in South Africa, who can also build this instrument. But you get them. They are a bit older, obviously, than us. And obviously, they've gathered all the skills because you cannot grasp all those skills in a short period of time. But you get also companies overseas that when they take apprentices, they train them in all the fields. But after some time, the person needs to decide where do you specialize more, because you can't do it. You cannot just do everything. And again, the time that you need to take is, let's say you are commissioned to do this, you're then talking about a year plus to just make one instrument. So then it's not possible.
But now you said that church where you took the organ apart, then you can put it together again. If you can take the organ apart in the church to move it to where you have it now. So that's okay.
Mm-hmm. Yes, no, that we can do, because it's all part of organ building. Like I say, it's an umbrella word that we use. that you're an organ builder. There's no other terminology you can say. You can go and say, maybe I'm a pipe maker or I'm a wind chest maker.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
But the umbrella word that you use is that you're an organ builder. And if you've taken your apprentice for many years, you like exposed to everything inside the organ, so that let's say you dismantle this organ, because you also do relocations of organ. And let's say they want it 500 kilometers where they've bought it. You need to pack it nicely, and you need to dismantle the organ and ship it, and again assemble the organ at the location that you are given. So but does not make you to say you are now an organ builder, is that you can do the building. I don't know if you can get that.
I understand, yeah, but that's what so you rebuild it basically. So you can dismantle it and rebuild it, yeah. Now, how many new organs get built in South Africa nowadays?
Yeah, not quite a lot, but there are quite a few. The company that I've worked for, they built the last organ in 2010, 2011. And I remember last year I was also involved to revoice that organ and change the pitch on it. And there was also another instrument that we're starting to build that was quite a huge organ that we started in 2014 as well. And there was also another company that was also commissioned to build another organ, a company in overseas. They also built 2 organs here in South Africa, I'm saying in the space of 8 years. And also, as we speak, we also helping another organ that has been built also recently, and we're installing it at another local church. As we speak, this organ, we are actually assembling it at this moment.
Okay. So tell me, Archie, what do you like more, the older organs or a newly built organ? What you personally, what is your preference?
I love these old English, these Victorian organs that came from England. That is actually my favorite taste. They've got this nice mellow sound. The voicing of those instruments is very accurate. And what I love the most is because for the hymn accompaniment, it goes so well with the congregational singing. But I also like the Baroque instrument. I don't mind if they are old or they are newly built, because I kind of like got the idea of the sound, how they sound. So I appreciate, because it's different eras and different style. And I also love the French romantic as well. They're beautiful, nice strings and so forth. So basically, I like every organ. If I have to work on an organ, I would prefer this English. And I also think it comes from my background as well, where in Zimbabwe we get more of this English from Victorian part of this instrument. The ones that have got wider scales on the principles, called the open diapason. That is so mellow compared to a Baroque instrument with the prestand, with the narrow scale in the principles. So that would be my taste, because I also play organ, and I'm also in the Catholic, and our Catholic liturgy, it also suits those instruments nicely. But I've worked with many instruments, because in South Africa, we kind of like do everything. We don't have like, we specialize, but we don't only work on a specific job and specific organs like other organ builders in overseas that only works on that style and things like that. So I've got a lot of exposure with this instrument. You can name it all. I think we've gone through majority of all the styles and action.
But now you travel a lot, you say, through the country and Zimbabwe and so on. In South Africa, in these small towns, have you seen a organ that really a really old organ or a unusual organ?
Yes, there are quite a few.
Really?
Another organ that I like is in a small town called Raids in Free State. So it's a pneumatic instrument. And obviously it's coming also from England. It's also my favorite. So it's all of a sudden in mid of Free State, you get this huge church with a lovely instrument. And there is also in Durban, but it's also not a local, it's quite a big city. But there's also a Willis organ that we did an overhaul recently last year. It's quite an old organ, more than 100 years old. And we get here and there also in Windhoek, there's also a lot of these old organs, including also the German church. And one of the oldest instruments is in the Swakopmund in Namibia.
Really?
That is also not a very big city, but it's got a beautiful old pneumatic organ there.
And is that the oldest organ you've worked on?
Yes, I can say I've worked here. That is the oldest. Also, the rate is very old.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That is so interesting. I think your work is so interesting, and you probably make notes of all these organs, so you have a huge information basis about all these different organs that you work on.
Yes, yeah. No, definitely. Every time when we work, we try to have the history of the instrument, and that is what I also tell majority of the organists or church members, that when we have got an organ builder or a technician that works on the instrument, you have to try to keep to the same person, because this instrument is not like a small little toy that one person can come and take over the maintenance of that organ and know all its faults and its needs. So you need to stick to one person that have got the history of the instrument. But obviously sometimes it's not possible, because you get also technicians that sometimes they want also to compromise the work because of time. So you'll find churches also changing technicians, or sometimes also about the taste, who you like, who you prefer. So you find not everyone always look after that instrument, but it's also ideal that you always want to take your car to the same mechanic or to the same service provider, because they've done it previously. But if you take it to someone who might even not know how this car was working, how this organ was working, and now you start afresh. And it's always not very ideal to the instrument like that, because sometimes you might disturb its tuning, or sometimes how you have to tune is different from how you tune another organ. And also you need to know what the temperature fluctuation is doing inside that church. Maybe you cannot tune when the aircon is not on, or maybe you need to make the aircon on to a certain temperature before you tune. So if you have known all these things all the years, and all of a sudden the church decided to say, oh, this person is so expensive, or maybe another organist coming, they want to use the previous organ builder where they were before, who does not know these small things that is involved in that instrument. It actually destroys the instrument in the long run, damaging the pitch and things like that.
You're actually like an organ doctor.
Yes, I'd say so. Yeah.
But Archie, how many young organ builders are coming up? Is there something is it a type of job that a lot of young people are interested in?
there are many interest from also young people. But what I found when I started also my apprentice, we were quite a lot. And by the end of the apprentice, they were like close to none. Many people like the idea of playing the organ and the maintenance of the organ when they hear people talking about it. But when you come and involved in the actual work of it, you find there's less interest because people always think that it is playing an instrument and it is doing soft things since it's an instrument, it's a sound. But what goes behind that sound is a lot of engineering work, a lot of thinking, a lot of labor intensive to produce this sound. So new apprentices, they would like, let's say, I started when I was 18. So when I started, I still remember there were a lot of young, middle age and so forth that also came to join the apprentice. But you find them losing interest as it goes. Like also what I also witnessed personally, because when I joined the company, I wanted to specialize more into tuning because I wanted more the tuning part of it and maintenance. So I found myself, I spent like 6 months polishing pipes, those pipes like lead pipes. And I found myself sweeping the workshop. I found myself cleaning some pipes, doing all these small duties that I went one day to my boss, Jan Zilman, at that stage. And I asked him to say, I actually lied to him to say, do you know that my mom, she's not gonna like the idea that I'm sweeping and I'm polishing pipes because I actually came to learn organ building, like tuning and maintenance. And why am I finding myself cleaning a harmonium? Why am I polishing pipes? Why am I scuffing a wood and packing the workshop? Then he laughed at me and said, Archie, you want to learn organ tuning, but can I send you to go and tune an organ where you don't know the entrance door of an organ, where you don't know how to handle the pipes and how you can clean the organ. I want to develop you the skills in every aspect in organ. Yeah. So it was quite a depressing thing because I found that I was not gonna be tuning an organ anytime soon. And believe you me, it was hard work and a lot of frustration that you would go and assist an apprentice who's maybe many years older than you. And you'll be doing funny things like lifting the tools, handling the tools. But all these things, after many years, it makes sense, and you all need those skills. And to be so careful inside the pipe organ, because if you fall on one rank of an instrument, and you're talking about nearly 250,000, it's like 25,000 US dollars that you can destroy in less than 30 seconds. So those skills, how you walk inside the pipe chamber and so forth. So when you take people who are more interested in the organ and they see what is involved, that is not always the nice work. You find many people retreating and they won't finish the apprentice, even though they might be good, maybe in woodwork or in tuning or voicing or pipe making or bellows making, but they quickly quit before they go through that whole process. That is why we don't have much young people coming into this field. But we are quite a few young people in South Africa that are working on organs.
Well, this is a very, first of all, you have to have a lot of patience, but it's such a beautiful life lesson, actually, you know, that,
yes.
That everything comes with time and that you have to go through all the steps before something can happen. It's wonderful. Yeah. But I really admire you that you stuck with it and that you swept all those floors and cleaned all those pipes. I'm sure your mum is very proud of you.
Yes, yeah. No, definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Archie, now tell me, what is your wish for the future?
My wish for the future is to see this instrument getting used. And I also want to travel around the world to tune this amazing instrument that I've had. I just want also not to be stuck at one place doing the normal routines. I also want to be exploring. And my idea, people ask to say, okay, are there many people, they always think that pipe organ is a dying trend, but they don't realize that this artwork have been there for decades, and it's still gonna last for also many years. And what I had to do when I can also go back to the solid state system that we have developed. It is also a way to save these instruments for like what we have witnessed from this instrument, that if we didn't go and resurrect it, it was supposed to be thrown in the street. And because sometimes it's lack of knowledge, I'm not saying the church that decided to throw this was lack of knowledge, but sometimes it's lack of knowledge that people, they don't see the value of this instrument, that they are built to last. And you cannot compare any instrument to this. So you cannot show me any instrument that can play for more than 100 years. Overseas, you get them to 300 years old instrument and still going and still playing. So when we're challenged by this church, that because we didn't have affordable solution, there was solution, but not affordable. We took this instrument, and this place where I am, it was donated by one of the persons that also love the instrument, and say we can use this place as a demonstration, and you can do all the stuff for the organ, and if you want to showcase anything. So we brought this instrument and we developed this system, solid state system, that enables the instrument to be used and not to have issues that frustrate the organists. And so in doing that, we have made what is called the control cards or the boards for this instrument so robust, and that we guarantee no fail. And we also want to give a lot of guarantee to it, so that when someone purchased this system that is very affordable in any way, they don't sit with a problem like what we've witnessed with other systems that is very expensive, and you need to rely from overseas to send parts and these customs duties. So we've made our cards and our control cards and our boards so robust so that they don't fail. If they fail, you can go to any local store to buy a component and replace it. Like I told you before, that you want to make this instrument repairable within 24 hours, which means if a client or a church report a problem on a Friday or on a Saturday, we want the following day on a Sunday that issue sorted out. And so it is part of my vision for the future, that when people eventually they have to move from this old analog system, because you cannot really replace them. If you replace them, they are very expensive and they don't come with any protection. So it's labor intensive to replace this old system that also don't come with any protection. That again is gonna, in future and few generation to come, they're gonna throw it away, because after 50 years after replacement, they're gonna give issues. Sometimes it doesn't even last for 50 years. It depends with the carbon that comes to those contacts. Sometimes you store that brand new system, 5 years, 2 years, 6 months down the line, we've got contact issues. So eventually the world will need to come and to go out from that hard wired, where there's too many wiring, to solid state. and it's going to be very expensive for the new generation, the labor-wise, to get the parts. So this system that we've made, we are making it so affordable that people can actually find it very useful. And again, we have made it possible for a client or an organist to diagnose, to do a first diagnosis, because you find that organists and organ builders, they say they're not always available. They say there's a problem 500 kilometers away, or even say 20 kilometers away, and I'm busy at another organ. I cannot leave that organ and go there. So you find organists or churches, they get frustrated that they have to also wait for a long time to get a problem fixed. So with our cards, we have put or installed LED lights so that an organist can do a fault finding, a DIY type of thing before they can call an organ builder, of which we are, our fees are, we don't work for free, if I want to say. We always obviously give an invoice for our work. So sometimes you find organists and churches getting frustrated that, no, but it was only 5 minutes, but look the bill. Then you want to tell them that it was my travel time, and it was all the years of experience to learn that. So we also want to make it so possible that if there's a problem with the use of LEDs lights, where you only need an eye to see. So you can ask someone when you play a key to say, let's say somehow you don't get a contact. So the first stage is to be look at the console so you can see if the LED is coming, which means the power is coming. Then if you can see that light coming, you can also go in the chamber where the sound comes from the pipes. And there's also the boards with the LED lights. So you can do a trace. So you can find out, okay, it won't be electrical fault. We guarantee our clients that our boards are going to be so robust. But let's say it happens that you miss a light. It's going to be easy now to diagnose over a telephone to say, you know what, I think now we need to come. But if they can see the lights, we can now say, okay, go and do fault fixing yourself. We can then over WhatsApp, we can now tell you, we can go on the flute section, on the reed section, you can allocate your pipes and do your problem repair there and issue repair. So this was our cards. So when we got the theory right, we then printed them out so they look neat. So they are now like this.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
So this was like our rough draft, if I can say. It looks a little bit ugly and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So if you can see there is this rail of LED lights, this red.
Oh, yeah.
So that will be your input, and maybe in the pipe chamber, you'll be having an output and input cards that are like that. These will then send signal to the pipes. Remember, it's still a real pipe organ, and we are not changing anything. The pipe organ still plays the real instrument. The wind still is kept to the pipe and so forth. So, but if the organist or any church person who have got eyes, who can see that, you know, when you're playing, that light on A is coming on, and he goes to the chamber and see, no, that light is coming on. Then you have to call us and say, no, the light is coming on. Then we will know to say the problem is from that light to the pipes.
Okay.
So underneath the pipe, you might get a solenoid.
Yeah.
Maybe it's not working. The wind might not coming through. Or all of a sudden, a moth can fall inside the pipe and sit on the flue, and this pipe won't play. Then you get also dead knot. So it will be very easy to detect before you drive 500 kilometers. Maybe the organist just needs to do this and make the dust go off and the pipe play. So they can also save money. And it's a wish for the future that instrument will be used more often and people want it to be hassle-free. Then another, what we've made also possible it's actually to the churches, like we are saying, that are in the outskirts, very far, that they don't get organists regularly. Remember, it's also a skill to play the organ. So you find other huge instruments that are in other towns that when you go there, they say, you know what, we are tuning this instrument, but it was last tuned before a funeral 3 years ago, 5 years ago. The last time we played this instrument was during a wedding that happened 5 years ago. Then you ask why, when they said, no, we are very far, there's no organists. We have to rely from the big towns. And those organists who are from big towns, they've got permanent position at the churches there. So they can only play maybe during the week on a funeral. So you find that other instruments are not getting used more often because the organists are also becoming scarce. It's also a very difficult skill to learn in a short period of time. So with our system, we've made it possible that if they can also get an organist, and let's say they've got a special event coming and there's no organist available, the organist can play as while they're playing the music that will be playing, it will be recorded and stored. Okay. Yes, yeah. So that the priest or the reverend of that church or any member of the church can go on a telephone, on a cell phone or on a computer and play back the hymns that were recorded by organists. So which means if the organist is not available, they can make use of the instrument so that they refrain from using speakers or some recording type of thing. Because what I feel, the church, they've saved a lot of money. We are talking about $1 million. This instrument, we are talking about nearly 2 million rands, very small instrument. Other people have got a lot of huge instruments that they have, that we are talking about 10, 15 to 20, 30 million value that is only sitting. But with this playback and recording that the organist can do, can make actually the church to use their organ and refrain from using some recorded sound to get the congregation singing going. So we want to promote the use of the pipe organ. If the church has got a pipe organ because they've paid for it, because they wanted it to accompany their congregational singing, why buying a CD or why coming and use another funny instrument on the side to replace this instrument? So I want to promote the use of the instrument because the church has purchased it. So we've made it possible. And during the playback, many people have been asking us, where is the sound coming from? They were thinking that is coming from the speakers. It doesn't come from the speakers, it's coming from the actual pipe.
Okay.
The only thing that you are missing, it's only the organist playing. So, but we made it possible, not because that was our idea, because we also respect the artists who plays the organ and also don't want to replace them. But in scenarios whereby you cannot get an organist who's to play, maybe it's a big Sunday, or maybe they also want a recital on the organ, but they only rely from someone who's coming from far away, they can make use of that playback and record feature that we have installed on that organ as well.
So if I understand you now right, so you record from that organ and then the playback is also from that organ.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. Yes. Yeah.
Archie, you are a genius.
It has been there in the world. It's not us who have started it, but what we're saying that the price to get it to South Africa is very expensive. And I also want to tell other people with these organs who are also overseas to make use of our system, because the rand compared to their
exchange rate,
they're gonna find our system very affordable. And I don't want only to do it in South Africa, but if the churches in England or USA, if they go to the exchange rate, they'll find that they can actually get this system at a very affordable rate compared to their country. And
Archie, we have to
Yeah.
say that because that would be so great, isn't it? If
No,
you
it
can
is
export
definitely.
your system, yeah.
Yes, that is the whole idea. And if the instrument gets used, that's the purpose of it. There is also one of the problems that this instrument is having that we have started to witness since many years. It is also the sliders that opens and closes the pipes. It's called stop slider motors. So after some times, we found that you are playing an instrument and you want to put a trumpet, and that trumpet doesn't activate because the controls of that motor that opens and closes the slider, it's damaged or it's reached its end of life. And we have seen many churches in South Africa buying this from overseas. The import, it's quite a lot of money to just replace it. So we have also made our own local boards to be driving these motors as well. So we found that these motors, they actually last for nearly forever because they actually don't work much inside an organ. They only open and close. But what fails is this. And you can see this is old wiring that they've put. So we have also now programmed our own system in our software to drive this on and off. So we are also refraining from ordering this from overseas as well. So it's also my wish for the future that the organ gets used, and when these die, we don't want to order new ones because we are talking about nearly 10,000 each before the labor. And it's very expensive, and the church will say, oh no, we rather look for a keyboard to replace the instrument. So we have made it so affordable to make use of that. And we also found that we got wiper motors that also do the same thing. And these were also failing, and most of the time we're ordering new to replace this. So we can now do an overhaul of this. We are actually the first company in South Africa to do that we can overhaul this. We saw that you don't need to replace it. And we are also now replacing that circuitry, these controls that are old edge bridge circuit that use relays, and it's not always accurate. And it also sparks and it fails. So we have also replaced that with our new technology. And we also give about 5 years guarantees to that. So that's what we replaced. So we are saying to all the people, the churches that we have this system that is nowadays, after like 40, 50 years, they are failing. And many are sitting with instruments not playing, and huge bill to replace this. We are saying, keep these. They are wiper motors. They are robust, and we can see that if you open it to service it, you can see that naturally nothing goes wrong with that. But we've made it so robust so that we can program it to stop where we want, because we want to rotate it to switch on and off. So we've made it also accurate by our software that drives it to stop at the correct position and to switch open position. So it's all these local solutions that we want to offer to all these South African churches, Zimbabwe, Namibia, so that it's so affordable to keep this instrument going. And also our tariffs, we are also checking and also adjust it accordingly so that the instrument doesn't sit idle because of this huge bill. So if we find that we need to go down with our fee because the church cannot afford it, we are also doing that to make this instrument
You
carry
have
on.
You have really, you are so talented. You have such a great passion for your work, and you are a genius. I mean, you are so innovative with all this that you are doing. And Archie, I wish really that people see this and contact you and just, you know, give you the opportunity to come and or to give your products, or that they order your products from you, because I think this is amazing, really. This is my wish for you, definitely, definitely.
Thank you.
Yeah, yeah. No, I really wish that happens for you. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you.
But
There's only one thing that I wanted to show you,
yeah.
maybe for those gonna see. This is our console processor and the chamber processor. So there will be a Ethernet cable from one. Let me see if I can take it to one. So there will be these talking to each other. So this will be, if you purchase our solid state system, so you obviously also buy this chamber processor and a console processor. So between these, it will be a data cable that is leaking that. But people will ask, why can you not just give it away? What we always tell them is that the software, the programming that comes to that is always specifically for that instrument, because you don't really get instruments that are identical. So what I want to ensure to the people that will be interested in the system is that our system is so robust, and we've done it and tested it on a very complicated instrument. So to the organ builders and to the organists that understand what is called a unit organ, extended organ, is whereby, let's say, a 61 key chest, let's say on a flute, an 8-foot flute can be used as a 4-foot flute, can be used as a Nazard, as a 2-foot flute, as a 1-foot, derived from one stop. And that is a very complex in programming. And we have done it, and we've made it possible to this instrument. Well, that is actually the cause why this instrument was failing, because it doubles many contacts, and it starts to have this carbon residue because there are too many. They want to make this small organ sound big by duplicating the instrument or the stop. So we have made it possible to this instrument that have got many unit stops, like it comes to a 1-foot, to a Nazard, and to a quint derived from one stop. So other instruments that might need this system might be a straight organ, whereby that rank is not divided to several. It's only standing for that one individual instrument. And then also that system is also going to be very, very affordable for the organs with a straight chest or a slider chest or a cone valve chest, because there's no units. And it's going to be very affordable because it's not that complicated. And also the input and the output cards are not so many compared to this instrument that they've got duplicates.
Well, yeah, because of you, the organs will all revive again. You know,
that is the whole mission.
Yes.
Yeah.
Isn't that amazing? Because, like you say, they're so beautiful instruments, and the sound, and they are so. Every organ is so unique, and it's really a pity that in these beautiful churches the organs are, and then and when they are not used, then it's really such a tragedy. Archie, this has to go out in the world, and people have to hear about your wonderful work, because I think this is amazing, honestly.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, no, definitely. But listen, this was so interesting to talk to you. You've really
so much.
given me so much information now, and I never really knew that was all the work that goes into looking after organs and organ work and so on. So
Yeah.
really congratulations with all the work that you are doing.
Thank you. I said I really appreciate and thank you so much.
It's a pleasure, really. You have to come and visit Vienna because here are many organs that you can have a look at. And
yes, I was once invited as well by Lisbeth.
Yeah.
I forget his surname. When we met in Namibia, and she gave me details and say you need to come to France. Yeah.
Really? Yeah. You'll find the most beautiful organs here in Europe. I think you would so much enjoy that.
Yes.
To see.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, Archie, have a wonderful afternoon.
Thank you.
And I hope to one day see you when you come to Vienna.
All right. Thank you. All right.
Yeah. Okay.
All right.
Archie.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.